What does it mean to have the powers of attorney turned over to someone else and have those rules changed? Well, once again, we've brought in Kurt Franke from the law offices of Kurt A. Franke to talk again about some of the legal side of real estate. Kurt, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Now, you bring up this topic, not because it's so random, but because there's been some changes, haven't there?
Yeah, in 2009, October 1st actually, 2009, the law of general power of attorneys was changed. Slight deviations from the previous law, and it shouldn't concern anyone too much because if your power of attorney was valid before October 1st, 2009, it remains valid, and you don't necessarily have to change it.
So you are basically grandfathered in under the old rules?
That's correct.
Okay. When does a power of attorney come into play?
A power of attorney generally comes into play if somebody's leaving the country or somebody's perhaps being checked into the hospital and they're concerned about it and want to give somebody the power to make their financial decisions that they trust, obviously.
It's an unelected vice president.
That's exactly right. Just
really
in case
is.
the president should step down, or and there's different kinds of, there can be mental incapacity, somebody out of the country, there could be somebody incarcerated, and those are points at which a general power of attorney will normally be activated.
Okay. And what are some of the subtle changes that you have seen that people should be aware of with this new rule?
Well, the new rule, essentially, it wants to verify that somebody is in a sound state of mind at the time they execute a power of attorney. So if somebody's in a nursing home, for instance, they want to make sure there's a doctor there to certify that person did that of their own free will.
And so do they have to literally sign off on that certificate of power of attorney?
That's correct. And so you have to give somebody that power to make those decisions on your behalf.
So you have a couple of signatures on there?
That's correct.
Okay, because I know you have to have a notary as well.
Well, you have to have a notary, and if you're outside of that nursing home type scenario, then a notary is sufficient. You don't always have to be certified that you're competent to make that decision.
Gotcha. Okay, because most of us walking on the street are reasonably competent to make that decision.
Well, depending upon who we're talking about here.
That's right.
Certainly in this studio.
Yeah, sure. All right. If you want to know more about the power of attorney or any of your legal rights, you can always give Kurt a call. Set up an appointment. Sit down with you, right, Kurt?
That's correct. You can call Linda at 827-6100. She'd be happy to set up an appointment. Or you can visit my website, LOCAF, L-O-K-A-F, as in law offices, kurtafranke.com.
And Kurt's got a lot of other video on his website, a lot of good legal advice on there as well, just to get you started in that process, right?
That's correct.
Great. Thanks, Kurt. Good stuff.
Thank you.
As always. Now we're going to remind you that if you need some help in your home to keep it clean, then we recommend White Lotus. They do a great job. They come into my home because they do a great job. Here's White Lotus on The House Detective. We'll be right back.